You've chosen a marvellous morning to show up.
Oh, good.
Because one of my favourite classes is called Dancing Chaturanga.
Is what, sorry?
You'll know all about it in about 45 minutes. All right, so whatever you thought you were going to experience,
Yeah.
put that aside because
That's
it's
not
going to be.
happening.
How are we all today? Good to see you back. Secretly, I quite like lockdown for a couple of weeks. Gives me an opportunity to sort of chill, cave, do nothing. That being said, however, Dancing Chaturanga is one of my favourite sequences. So we're going to go through that this morning. Are you going to work hard? Fuck yeah.
I came in to relax. Come on, Jesus Christ. Get away from this.
So we had a conversation on Monday night. Vassie said, we've been away for a week. Have you got any sympathy for us? And I said, yes, the same as the Rolling Stones, sympathy for the devil. So with that in mind, while we wait for the last couple of people to come in, why don't we take child's pose? So for those of us who don't know what child's pose is, come down onto your hands and knees. Maybe spread your knees as wide as your mat. Walk your hands out as far as you feel comfortable. Then just let your butt slide somewhere down towards your feet. And when you find that place, rest your forehead on the floor. Now, for those guys who've not been with us before, these wonderful things that I'm going to put beside you, the secret of those is they make your arms longer. Do you need an arm extender, Amanda? Good morning. Yeah. Sorry? Morning, Margaret. How are you? So once you find that place that you're comfortable with, also, like if you're really tight in the hips, you can take that block and tuck it up underneath your thighs, between your thighs and your calf. Or maybe you can stand on it, and lower your butt down onto it and sit on it, just to take a little bit of load out of those knees. Catch up with you at the end. When you find a place that you're comfortable with, let's turn our focus to our breath. Right now, how are you breathing? Are you breathing through your nose? Are you breathing through your mouth? Are you breathing into your belly? Are you breathing into your chest? If it's at all possible for you, can you take your tongue, push it up against the roof of your mouth and breathe in through your nose? Count how long it takes for you to breathe in and see if you can match the length of time that it takes for you to breathe out. Can you slow that inhale down by 1 heartbeat? Match the exhale with the length of the inhale. While you're here, are there any parts of your body that are saying, I'm tired, I need some love and I need some attention? When you breathe in, once you've identified those spaces, when you breathe in your mind's eye, imagine that you're actually breathing your energy down into that space that feels tight. And as you exhale, you're using the breath out to soften that tension, to soften that tightness. If it's in around the joints, maybe ask yourself, what do I need to move to relieve that compression that sits in around those joints? The next time you inhale, start to claw your hands into the ground and slowly lift your butt up high. Walk your hands up underneath your shoulders and come into table. Your right leg lifts and floats out towards the back of the room. Use the muscles in your legs to pull your toes forward as far as you possibly can and push your heel away. And then when you're ready, can you float that left hand out in front of you towards the front of the room? How does it feel if you use the muscles in your back to push that left hand and that right foot as far apart as you possibly can? To help with your balance, take the top of that left foot and actively drive it down into the ground. The right hand claws as you try and screw that mat up beside you. Next time you exhale, left hand comes down to the floor. We turn and open up the right hand to the sky. See if we can find as much length as we possibly can. Push that right hand as far as we can towards the sky. And then when you're ready, bend that right leg, bring that into the chest and see if you can grab that right toe. Now that might be as far as you get. Maybe you've got to grab the ankle. And then when you're ready, can you straighten that right leg out so it comes out like some kind of mad aeroplane wing. Now if you need to touch that toe down for a moment, just do it. There's no competition here. Next time you inhale, release all that. Stretch back out again, right foot to the back of the room. Open that chest up, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Then let's put it all down. Left leg floats to the back of the room. Right hand floats out to the front of the room. See if we can use the muscles in our back and our shoulders to apply some traction through our spine. If you need to dab down, just do it. One of the beautiful things about balance work is each time we wobble and we wibble, it starts to help us remap the neural pathways in our brain. So that's a good thing. And if you expect that what you can do on one side, you'll be able to do on the other, that's not true, because we all have a dominant hand, a dominant leg. So one side's going to be naturally stronger or a little bit more open or more flexible. Then when you're ready, right hand floats down to the floor. Inhale and open that left hand out to the sky. Squeeze the shoulder blades together at the same time as you try and push that left hand as high as you possibly can. Use the energy that comes out of the earth and drive out of that right hand and see if you can get some extension. Pull the toes back, push that left foot away, create some space in those hips. And when you're ready, next time you exhale, bend that left leg, reach down, see if you can grab a toe or a foot. Then take off like a mad one-winged aeroplane as you stretch that foot out to the side. Maybe you've only got hold of your knee. That's okay. The only thing that you're interested in right now is what's happening on your mat. What's going on beside you has got absolutely nothing to do with you. The beautiful thing about yoga is it gives us strength, compassion, as we start to understand how to work through diversity. As you inhale, let's take one more full breath here and let that foot go, float it out, back down to the back of the room, stretch that left hand out to the sky one more time. As you exhale, put it all down, come back down to your hands and knees. Next time you inhale, look up, pull the chest forward and let the belly drop down towards the floor into a cow stretch. As you exhale, look down to the knees, push the center of the back up into a cat stretch. Inhale to look forward again. Exhale, look down. Let's do two more of those each in your own breath cycle. Get a little lubricity working down through the spine, start to get some mobility, warm the muscles up, warm those joints up, start to get the brain firing. The next time you inhale, come back to the middle or neutral position, gaze looking forward down between your hands. Tuck your toes under, and as you exhale, straighten the legs, lift the butt high up into downward facing dog. Take the dog for a walk. Move your legs, move your hips. Let's check in with our hands. So your hands are on the mat, wrists are rotated slightly so the thumbs lead towards the front of the mat, ever so gently. That lets you start to roll your armpits together so that they can talk to each other. And then when you're ready, soften your ankles, let your heels start to float towards the floor. Your legs can be bent or straight. Who gives a rat's, honestly? 24 million people in this country. If we all did down dog at the same time, we'd all be doing it slightly differently, and it would all be perfect unless we were hurting ourselves. The next time you exhale, gently walk your feet up in between your hands. Legs are bent as you feel comfortable with. Just let everything hang in that fold. Let the weight of gravity do its work on your melon. Provide a bit of space down through your spine. Then as you inhale, look up for a halfway lift, squeeze the shoulder blades together, open the arms out wide, push your hands as far apart as you possibly can. At the same time, can you squeeze the backs of your shoulder blades together? Then as we exhale, left hand floats down towards the floor, the right hand opens up and we come into some kind of mad twist. We inhale, come back to centre, exhale, opposite side. Inhale, come back to centre. Then as we exhale, bend the legs, slide the butt back, lift the heart and sit ourselves down into chair. So our feet are about shoulder width apart. For those of us who think we've got huge shoulders, that's about the size of two fists side by side. Your feet point roughly straight ahead. Your knees are not tracked out in front of your toes, so we're protecting the, what do you call that mad thing? It'll come back to me later, so we're protecting your knee from there. And as you inhale, can you find some length and stretch and some height? And as you breathe out, can you slide your butt back a little deeper? And once you find this place, bring your awareness back to how you're breathing. Picture the shape in your mind that you're trying to make. Channel that energy as you inhale down into those spots of tightness or those spots of tension. And when you think it's time for you to move, bring your awareness back to your breath. That sensation will disappear. Next time we inhale, let's lift all the way towards the sky. Exhale, swan dive, hands to floor. Inhale as we come up for a halfway lift. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, step back to plank. Hands go in the same place as they do for downward facing dog. Let's hold here for a moment or two. Butt's not sagging towards the floor, or is it floating up into the sky? Hands are engaged and trying to squeeze and claw the mat. At the same time, when you find this balance, part of the trick with this pose, can you keep your neck soft and your jaw soft? Maybe a little micro bend in the arms helps. The next time we exhale, let's bend the elbows, float the chest down towards the floor. Slide the elbows so they come up underneath the armpits. Arms are facing straight ahead. Let's inhale and use the strength in our back. Lift the chest. Exhale, soften, put it down. Inhale to lift. This time let's see if we can roll from the lower part of our back like a wave. Back up into what we call Sphinx. Exhale, soften, put it down. Inhale to lift. This time let's claw into the floor with our hands. See if we can actively pull our heart forward towards the front of the room through our shoulders. Tops of the feet are pushed into the mat, hips are pushed into the mat. All the same time, our jaw's soft, our neck is soft. Our breath is smooth and even. The next time we exhale, chest down, toes under, butt high, down dog, all in the same breath out. Take the opportunity to reconnect with your breath here. Check in with your hands. Are your thumbs leading slightly towards the front of the mat? Ankles soft, letting your heels float down towards the floor. Next time we inhale, let's roll forward and float back into plank. Now you can be on your knees if you want to. That's cool. If you need to, even better. Good choice. Good decision for you. Now as you exhale, bend your elbows, float your chest down to the ground. So just look up here for a moment. So bend bend your feet so that they face up to the top of the sky. What we're going to do is we're going to roll over onto our right side. You see I've created a window in through this left arm here, onto my right hip, and I'm going to squeeze everything I've got, and I'm going to look through that window while I'm laying on the ground. Then as I inhale, I'm going to stretch back out, and then roll back over to the opposite side. Then I'm going to squeeze and look underneath that right elbow. Come back to centre. All right, exhale back onto the right hip. Squeeze, breathe in, change sides. Now as you squeeze, your hands are actively engaged and you're pushing into the floor with those arms that you're looking through. 2 more on each side. Next time we inhale, let's come back to centre. Flatten the feet out, tuck the toes under, and as we breathe in, let's float back up to plank. Slide the butt back up into downward facing dog. Take a moment or two to rest. Reconnect with your breath. Every time we move, we breathe. As we contract or lower to the floor, we exhale. As we open up or we lift, we inhale. The next time we exhale, let's walk our feet up in between our hands. Let everything hang, soft bend in the knees. Let the weight of your head provide some traction down through your spine. Inhale, look up for a halfway lift. Exhale, soften, fold all the way. Then as we breathe in, reverse swan dive all the way to the sky. And as we exhale, left foot steps back, toes are pointing straight ahead. And then soften that front knee as we slide down into a crescent lunge. So front leg, about 90 degrees through the knee-ish there. The knee's tracking straight out over the front of the foot. It's not tending in left or right. It should be nice and strong. And when you get here, play with that back foot. How does it feel if you lift that heel? How does that feel in your hips? Maybe you can scritch that front foot forward a little deeper. As you inhale, can you find some more height and some length? Maybe a little back bend. As you exhale, can you lower your hips ever so slightly? Hands float down to heart center. Then as we breathe in, we open them out. We squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then let's turn and look out over our right shoulder. Inhale, come back to centre. Right elbow comes down onto the right knee. Turn the back foot so it faces towards the side of the room. Left hand floats up and opens up towards the front of the room. It's got extended side angle pose. The beautiful thing about this is we get to do it all again on the other side. So as we exhale, let's slide our hands down to frame that front foot. Maybe you need a block, maybe you don't. Then when we're ready, turn that back foot so that the toes are upright. Step back to plank. Lower your knees down to the ground. Back feet stick up. So here's one of the tricks. If you are doing plank on your knees, bring your feet all the way up. So what that'll do is it takes the load off your kneecap, so you're sitting on the top of this femur as opposed to loading up your kneecap. You know that little twist sequence we did before? Let's slide our hip to the right, look down through underneath that left and squeeze. Inhale, come back to centre, to the opposite side, and squeeze to the opposite side. You know you can do it, Amanda. Squeeze. Inhale. Right. Squeeze. 2 more. Left. Right. Left. Right. Come back to centre. Let's hold. Tuck the toes under, float the knees off the ground. Walk the feet up in between the hands. Inhale as you look up for a halfway lift. Exhale, soften, let it fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up. Then as you exhale, this time right foot steps back. Find your crescent lunge. Check in with your front leg. Knees tracking out over the centre of the toes. So while you're here, play around. How does it feel if you try and push your feet apart into the mat with the way that you're engaged into the floor or the earth? How does that change the way that your hips sit? What happens if you try and claw that pull that front foot towards the back of the room? See if you can squeeze those feet together. Hands come down to heart centre, and we open them out as we inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then when we're ready, you turn, look out over the left. All the while, breathing as gently as you need to breathe to maintain this level of effort. Through the nose. Inhale, come back to centre. Left elbow floats down onto the left knee. Let's turn that back foot and slide that top hand towards the front of the room. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. See if we can open up the chest. Right elbow, right knee, Danielle. No, like this. This way. I don't know how to fly them. I'll have to learn. What muscles can you turn off to stay here, in this place, to stay balanced and equanimous with the pose? One more breath. Then as we exhale, let's float our hands down to the floor to frame that front foot. When we get there, Turn the back foot so that the toes are pointing straight ahead again to the front of the room. You might have that back knee on the ground. That's cool. It's where you are today. Let's step ourselves back to plank. Now you might choose to go down onto your knees, but you know what happens next, don't you? We turn on the right heel, we look forward and we crunch through that left window. Inhale, come back to centre, turn to the left, crunch through that window. Right, left, right, centre, left, centre, right, centre, left. Two more. Come back to centre. Let's hold and float. Reconnect with your breath. And go, fucking Chaturanga, I don't want to hear that shit ever again. And know that the warm-ups are not quite yet finished.
What?
No, we've still got half an hour of warm-ups to go, mate. As you exhale, soften, put it all down onto the ground. Bend the right leg. Reach back with your right hand. See if you can grab hold of an ankle or a toe or something like that. And as you breathe in, can you let that right shoulder soften towards the floor? Maybe you actively push back into that hand with that right foot for a breath or two. Maybe you push your hips down into the floor. If you're actively pushing back into that foot, let it go and then pull a little deeper. The next time you exhale, unwind yourself from there and switch sides. Left foot comes up, we reach back, grab hold of a foot, an ankle or toe. If we can't reach it, that's okay. One of the bullshit stories the fitness industry tells us is we all need to be lean and mean and beautiful, which is kind of cool. However, it's not true. It provides to an industry narcissism. And they all want you to think that the world will be fine when you can bend over with straight legs and rest your elbows on the floor. What a crock of shit. That's physically not true because not everybody's biomechanically built that way. Next time you exhale, let that go. Slide both hands up underneath your shoulders. Starting from your lower back, roll up, lift the chest, find your version of Cobra. Maybe you want Sphinx, that's cool. Hands start to claw into the floor, we start to actively pull ourselves forward on the front, towards the front of our mat. Tops of our feet, we actively push down into the floor. All the while checking in, our neck is soft, our jaw's soft. Next time we exhale, chest down, toes under, butt high, down dog. Take a moment to rest, catch your breath if you lost track of it. How does it feel if you actively push back out of your hands and see if you can find a little bit of lift? Maybe put a slight micro bend in your knees. Just play around, see what works for you, what feels good. Next time you inhale, float that right leg up into the sky towards the back of the room. And as you exhale, right foot steps through to meet the right thumb. Inhale to lift, straighten that front leg. And then let's all turn and face that side of the room. Feet are roughly 45-ish with whatever makes us feel comfortable. As we exhale, let's soften, bend the legs. See if you can slide your sit bones back a little deeper. Then as you inhale, let's straighten and stretch. As you exhale, hands to chest, swan dive. See if you can make them reach the floor somewhere. Rotate your feet so that the toes point roughly straight ahead. Then when you're ready, walk your hands over towards the right hand side. Maybe you can grab the outside of that leg and see if you can pull the opposite nipple down in towards that knee somewhere. It's about a direction, it's not about a destination. Hips stay pointing roughly straight ahead. Doesn't matter if there's a slight bend in your knees or not. As you exhale, can you soften a little deeper into the fold and the bend? As you inhale, can you find some length in your spine? The next time you inhale, walk yourself back through to the middle. Then as you breathe out, walk your hands over towards the opposite side. So maybe the right hand comes somewhere towards the outside of the right foot or the right shin. The left hand might come around and grab in behind. As we inhale, let's come back to centre. Now walk your hands out so they're far enough in front of you that you can let your chest float towards the floor in a sort of split downward facing dog. Maybe rotate your feet so they go out a little bit. Now the really cool stuff starts to happen as we float forward into a split plank. And while we're here, maybe we bend our elbows and our chest float towards the floor. It doesn't quite touch it. It hovers. Fucking Chaturanga, can you believe it? As we inhale, let's slide our butt back up and come all the way up to stretch. Left hand comes down onto the right knee and we slide across and stretch that top arm out for 3 and again for 4. We inhale, come back to the centre. Exhale and float. Hands to floor. Chest to ground. Sorry, I'm trying to mirror for you and I occasionally screw it up. Next time you exhale, butt goes high, opposite side. Right arm, left knee, stretch. Yeah, one. Stretch. Come back, so you've got the pattern now anyway. So as you exhale, chest to floor for 1, butt high for 2, side stretch for 3, side stretch for 4. Back to centre. 1, 2, 3, 4. To make sure we've got the rhythm, let's do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's change it up. 1, 2, Okay, left leg, let's bend that. Sit. Hold. 3, 4. Opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add to it. 1, 2. Now as we slide out to the left, let's reach out with the opposite hand. Like we've got a bow in our hand. Let's take that, let's string that bow. 3, 4. Opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last one, I promise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's come back to centre. Sink the arse down. Hands come wide. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Goddess pose. Told ya, dancing Chaturanga. It's one of my favourites. Chaturanga is plank with your arms bent, chest floating just above the floor. So one of the reasons that we do that shit, as we get older and your hair starts to go the colour of my beard, the science tells us there is a direct correlation between upper body strength and balance. That's why we have to work on our upper body strength, the strength of the connective tissue, the tendons, the muscles, the ligaments, the fascia. The next time you inhale, let's straighten and stretch. Turn the face back towards the front of the room. Step forward to the front of your mat. Breathe in, see if you can find as much length and height as you possibly can. And know that the warm-ups are nearly over. We're starting to get into the good stuff shortly. Squeeze into the floor with your toes, with your feet. Tighten your calf muscles, tighten the thighs if you can. Lead with this muscle that sits inside here first, then the outside thighs. That helps track the patella nicely up and down through the knees. Stretch, squeeze your belly button into your backbone. Clench your butt cheeks together. Breathing through your nose. Let your breath return back to normal or back to where you've got control of it. And as we start to exhale, let's bend our legs, slide our butt somewhere down towards the floor. If it's at all possible, maybe we need to turn our feet out a little. See if we can bring ourselves down. Under control. We'll get there. Hands into heart center. And when you get there, start to push your hands together. Neck is soft, jaw is soft. And with all the grace of 1,000 startled gazelles, lower yourself down onto your butt. Legs slide out straight. Right foot gets pulled up in, so bend, right leg gets bent so the foot comes somewhere up into the groin. Then as you inhale, find some stretch. And as you exhale, let your hands float down to your thighs, looking up, leading with your heart. Walk your hands as far forward as you feel comfortable with. A couple of things that you want to see if you can do. Keep that foot roughly upright. Use the muscles in your legs to pull your toes back. Because if you've got them pointed, we're trying to find a bit of length in that connective tissue. If we've got those toes pointed, we're softening out the tension in that connective tissue. It's not about a destination. It's about a sensation. What's your body telling you right now? Is there some compression in a joint? If so, what do you need to adjust to relieve that compression? Tension down in through the belly of a muscle's nice, that's good. As you exhale, what can you soften to let that sit a little deeper? Let your hands just float down onto your thigh, let it rest. Weights evenly distributed across both of your sit bones. You haven't got one butt cheek loaded more than the other. The last thing you do is let your head fall and rest. Feel how that changes the sensation in through your neck, down through the centre of your back, maybe your glutes. If you're like me, maybe even across the top of your head into your eyebrows. The next time you inhale, walk your hands back up, unfold those legs, swap them over. And then when you're ready, to your own degree, inhale and stretch. Exhale, lead with the heart, let the hands fold and then walk forward towards the front of the room. Let me tell you, climate change was not going to be sorted out by people with long hamstrings. What this does, though, is it feeds into our parasympathetic nervous system. It starts to let us gently apply some tension into that connective tissue. Try and re-trick the Golgi tendon and the spindles in the muscle into thinking this is the new normal. Because you can't make muscles longer, regardless of what they tell you. It's a physical impossibility. They're as long as they're ever going to get. So what we do is we gently work on the stretch reflex. One more inhale here. The next time you breathe in, start to walk your hands back up. Slide both feet out in front of you. Lower yourself down onto your back. Bend your legs so your feet slide up underneath your butt. Then as you breathe in, push your hips up towards the sky. Hands might be floating down on the ground underneath you. You might have your fingers interlaced and be actively pushing back into the earth. Don't turn your head. Keep your neck safe. For 3, for 2, for 1, let's soften and put it all down. Feet slide out, let them go straight. The warm-ups are finished. Now the real yoga begins. Let your feet just fall open or closed, whatever feels natural and comfortable for you. Start to soften the muscles in your feet. Soften the ankles. Backs of the knees get heavy as you soften your thighs, calves. Belly goes soft and we let the middle of our back start to sink into the floor. Our breath returns back to normal. Maybe you've got your hands laying with the backs of the hands on the floor, fingers open. Maybe you've got them crossed on your belly, one on your chest, one on your tummy. Juntai. Shoulders go soft as we let them sink into the earth. Soften the muscles in the arms and the fingers. Neck is soft, jaw's soft. Muscles in the cheeks are soft. Eyes, brows, muscles in behind the eyes. Let's take one last full inhale here. And let it all go. Final pose for the morning, Savasana. Start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Bring your awareness back. And in your own time, supporting your head and neck, roll over onto your side. Make your way back up to a seated position. For those of you who are with us for the first time, we usually close the session out with 3 OMs. You can choose to participate or not. It's entirely up to you. Regardless of popular belief, it has no religious significance, but it does feed into the development of the parasympathetic nervous system. Just sort of closes out all the work that we've done this morning. Ah.